Nadia Al-Mansoor and Sheikh Rashid Al-Karim's forbidden affair promised passion and power, but in Dubai's glittering world, desire turned deadly, betrayal became fatal, and no secret stayed buried. The Crime Scene presents a new page of crime, a new mystery, a new shock case. Nadia Al-Mansoor's life sparkled like a diamond under the scorching Dubai sun, flawless from the outside, but hollow at the core. Her mansion sat on the edge of Palm Jumeirah, a monument to wealth with marble floors imported from Italy and chandeliers that looked like frozen lightning. She was the woman everyone envied, graceful, glamorous, and married to Karim Al-Mansoor, a man whose business empire touched everything from luxury towers to oil deals. But behind the tinted windows and designer gowns, Nadia was a prisoner dressed in gold. Karim loved control more than he ever loved her. Every move she made was monitored, every word weighed against the family's reputation. Dubai's elite saw them as the perfect couple, the it pair at every gala and private yacht party. But when the cameras stopped flashing, their house turned into a silent battlefield. Karim's absences became longer, his affection colder, replaced by suspicion and arrogance. Nadia spent her nights staring at the skyline, wondering when her life stopped being hers. She tried to fill the emptiness with luxury, shopping sprees in Paris, spa weekends in Abu Dhabi, but the loneliness kept finding her. She felt like a mannequin in a glass box, admired but lifeless. Her friends were more like rivals, each competing for the spotlight, each hiding their own misery behind layers of makeup and fake smiles. Deep down, Nadia longed for something real, someone to look at her like she was more than a trophy. She had everything money could buy, but nothing her heart could hold. Dubai was a city that never slept, a desert built on secrets, and Nadia was about to create one of her own. All it would take was one encounter, one spark, to burn down the illusion she had spent her life protecting. The night of the charity gala shimmered with wealth and power, where every guest looked like they'd stepped out of a luxury magazine. Nadia entered wrapped in a golden gown that caught every camera flash like fire, her beauty impossible to ignore even in a room full of diamonds. That was the night Sheikh Rashid Al-Karim saw her for the first time. He wasn't just any man. He was one of Dubai's most powerful figures, known for his oil wealth, ruthless business tactics, and a reputation for getting whatever he wanted. His presence commanded attention, a mix of authority and danger that made people either admire him or fear him. When his eyes met Nadia's across the ballroom, the world seemed to slow. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, like two lost souls trapped in cages made of gold. Rashid saw the loneliness behind her smile, the quiet rebellion in her eyes, and he was hooked. What started as polite small talk at the champagne bar quickly turned into stolen glances and unspoken chemistry. By the end of the night, they had exchanged numbers under the cover of polite conversation, both aware of the line they were crossing. Rashid began sending her messages, cryptic, bold, and intoxicating. His words made her feel seen for the first time in years, and she found herself responding with the kind of excitement she thought she'd forgotten. Late-night drives, secret meetings, and risky rendezvous followed, each one pushing them deeper into dangerous territory. Nadia told herself it was harmless, just an escape from her loveless marriage, but she knew better. The Sheikh was used to control, and once he had a taste of something he wanted, he never let go. Nadia's world was about to turn into a game of seduction, power, and deadly consequences. The affair between Nadia and Sheikh Rashid unfolded like a dream painted in gold and danger. They met in hidden corners of Dubai, away from the flashing cameras and prying eyes that ruled the city's elite. Rashid spoiled her with extravagance, a private jet trip to the Maldives, midnight dinners on yachts, and jewels that could buy entire neighborhoods. He made her feel alive again, like the world finally saw her as more than Karim's possession. Every moment with him was a rush of adrenaline wrapped in silk, but beneath the luxury, Nadia sensed the cracks. Rashid's attention was addictive, but his power was suffocating. He wanted to own her completely, to keep her locked in his world just as Karim had in his. Still, she couldn't walk away. The thrill of being wanted, of being dangerous, kept her coming back. But Dubai's upper class was built on gossip, and secrets never stayed buried for long. Whispers began spreading among high society women, rumors of a housewife sneaking around with a powerful sheik. Karim's associates started asking questions, and his instincts told him something wasn't right. He noticed her new jewelry, her late-night outings, her distracted eyes. He wasn't a man who believed in coincidences. Nadia tried to cover her tracks, but the city's walls had ears. Hotel staff were paid to stay silent, but silence doesn't last when money talks louder. Rashid's security detail started growing uneasy, warning him that his name was being linked to a married woman. The illusion of control began to crumble, and the danger they both ignored started creeping closer. What began as passion was turning into paranoia. Nadia could feel it, the tension in every call, the risk in every touch. The game was no longer about love. It was about survival in a world where power always wins. Karim's patience finally ran out when the photos arrived. Grainy, shaky shots captured Nadia in the arms of Sheikh Rashid, moments that confirmed every suspicion he had buried deep inside. To Karim, it wasn't heartbreak. It was humiliation, a public branding of his failure in a society that measured men by their control over wealth, power, and family. He didn't confront her immediately. He was too smart for that. Instead, he started tightening the cage. Nadia's access to funds was restricted, her movements tracked, and her communications monitored. Every phone call, every text, every meeting was logged. Karim had built an empire on strategy, and now he treated Nadia like another asset to manage or punish. She tried to act normal, laughing at parties, wearing her diamond-encrusted mask of perfection, but the tension in the house was unbearable. She felt the invisible leash around her neck tightening every day, the weight of Karim's wrath pressing down in ways money could never fix. Meanwhile, Sheikh Rashid, once intoxicating in his charm, began to retreat. Paranoia gnawed at him. Being connected to a married woman in Dubai's high society could ruin everything he had worked for. Nadia didn't know that Karim had already reached out to him privately, offering a deal cloaked in subtle menace, loyalty in exchange for silence. But Rashid wasn't a man used to being dictated to. He thrived on power and control, and threats only ignited his obsession. The walls of her life were closing in from all sides. Her secret world with Rashid was becoming impossible to maintain, and every step she took seemed to push her closer to disaster. Dubai's glittering cityscape, once a playground of opulence and freedom, had turned into a cage of suspicion, betrayal, and looming violence. Nadia realized too late that in a city built on secrets and influence, the higher you climb, the harder you can fall, and some falls are deadly. Nadia thought she was in control when she received Sheikh Rashid's message that night, summoning her to their hidden villa one last time. The text was casual, almost tender, and she let herself believe it was love calling her back. The villa, perched on a secluded stretch of coastline, had always been their sanctuary, a place where the world couldn't see them, where she felt free from Karim's ever-watchful eyes. But as she drove through the dark streets, the city lights fading behind her, a creeping unease settled in her chest. Something felt off, though she couldn't put a finger on it. When she arrived, the villa was unusually quiet. The ocean waves whispered against the shore, eerily still, and the lights inside flickered as if holding their breath. She called out his name, but there was no answer. The familiar scent of cologne and flowers was absent, replaced by an unfamiliar tension in the air. Hours passed, each one stretching longer, her imagination spinning with doubts and fear. Then, the car pulled up, headlights cutting through the night, but it wasn't Rashid stepping out. It was Karim's men, silent and menacing, their presence freezing her blood. In an instant, the villa transformed from a haven to a trap. Karim emerged from the shadows, calm, cold, and calculating, a man who had spent months planning this moment. Nadia realized with horror that she had walked straight into a meticulously crafted ambush. The world she thought she controlled, her affair, her freedom, her choices, was gone in a heartbeat. What followed inside those walls was chaos she would never forget, screams muffled by fear, betrayal sharpened by power, and a night that would leave its mark forever. By morning, the villa's pristine floors were marred with shattered glass and blood, and Nadia was gone, swallowed by the desert of secrets and lies. What started as love and rebellion had turned into a deadly trap she couldn't escape. When news of Nadia's disappearance hit the headlines, the world of Dubai's elite trembled. Sheikh Rashid Al-Karim, once untouchable and revered, felt a chill run through his empire. If even a fraction of the authorities' suspicions linked him to Nadia, his fortune, influence, and carefully curated reputation could vanish overnight. Panic took over his every move. He ordered his security teams to scour every property he owned, erase all digital traces, and make sure no evidence could tie him to her last known movements. Private servers were wiped, CCTV footage was buried, and staff who knew too much were threatened into silence. But technology, despite its reach, never completely disappears. Fragments of security camera footage started surfacing on the dark web, showing Nadia entering one of Rashid's villas days before her disappearance. The leaks spread like wildfire, drawing international attention and forcing Dubai police to reopen the case with a scrutiny that could not be ignored. Karim's version of events, polished and rehearsed, began to crack under investigation. Phone logs, travel records, and digital footprints painted a story far more complex and darker than either of them had intended. Rumors spread through the city's social circles, whispers growing into frantic conversations about betrayal, power, and murder. Rashid's allies, once loyal and untouchable, started cutting ties, fearing association with a scandal that could ruin them overnight. Nadia's absence became a symbol, a cautionary tale about the dangers of love, ambition, and secrets in a city obsessed with appearances. Every new lead, every leaked file, made the Sheikh's empire more unstable. Even as he tried to assert control, the walls of his world were closing in, and the carefully constructed illusion of power began to crumble. In Dubai, where money and influence often shielded the guilty, Nadia's disappearance proved that no one was truly untouchable. 3 months after Nadia vanished, the desert revealed its cruel secret. A construction crew working near Al-Qudra stumbled upon human remains buried beneath the shifting sand, a grim reminder that even the most powerful cannot hide forever. The body was partially covered, but the glint of a diamond wedding ring and a gold bracelet engraved with her initials made the identification unmistakable. Forensic reports confirmed the worst: blunt force trauma and traces of sedatives. Dubai's media exploded with the story, exposing the dark underbelly of a city built on wealth, appearances, and ruthless ambition. Karim was the first to face scrutiny. Authorities questioned his every move, every absence, every suspicious glance from months prior. His carefully curated image of the perfect husband and businessman began to crumble. His lawyers, experts in navigating high-stakes scandals, tried to shift blame onto Sheikh Rashid, painting the affair as the motive and Rashid as the predator. Rashid, meanwhile, denied everything with the calm, unshakable confidence that had once intimidated billionaires, but the evidence was mounting. Phone records, travel logs, private security footage, all pointed toward a deadly convergence of obsession, jealousy, and betrayal. The elite of Dubai, who once whispered about Nadia's beauty and Rashid's charm, now whispered about murder, scandal, and the terrifying power games of the rich. The desert, so often a symbol of luxury retreats and secret rendezvous, had become the final resting place for a woman caught between two men who wielded wealth like a weapon. Families who once attended galas and charity events together began distancing themselves, unwilling to be associated with a story that revealed the deadly cost of desire. Nadia's death became more than a crime. It became a lesson, a chilling reminder that in a city obsessed with status, power can corrupt even the most calculated minds. Months after Nadia's death, the city of Dubai still buzzed with rumors and unease, but nothing shook the elite like the leaked voice note that surfaced online. In it, Nadia's terrified voice whispered names, fears, and warnings, recorded just hours before her final moments. Karim and Sheikh Rashid, once untouchable in their wealth and influence, now found themselves exposed to a world they couldn't control. The audio went viral, splintering reputations and igniting global outrage. Social media lit up with speculation, commentary, and outrage, dragging both men into a spotlight they had long manipulated to their advantage. Karim's empire began to crumble as investors and partners questioned the man behind the cold, polished exterior. Lawsuits, investigations, and media scrutiny descended upon him like a storm. Rashid, the once powerful sheikh, vanished into exile, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions, abandoned properties, and shattered alliances. Dubai's elite scrambled to distance themselves from the scandal, trying desperately to bury the narrative of betrayal, obsession, and murder that now defined the city's most powerful. Nadia's story, however, refused to be silenced. Every leaked detail, every piece of evidence, every whispered conversation reminded the city that even the wealthiest could not hide the truth forever. She became more than a victim. She became a symbol of courage, of danger, and of the deadly intersection of love and power. Her name haunted every scandalous rumor, every luxury villa, every gilded yacht, a ghost that refused to stay quiet. Dubai's glittering skyline, which had once represented opportunity and grandeur, now seemed to cast long, dark shadows over the lives of those who thought themselves invincible. In a city where appearances rule and secrets are currency, Nadia's story became a cautionary tale. That passion intertwined with power can turn lethal, that trust can be a trap,